Empathy is the ability to feel what somebody else feels. And I've talked before about how that's very closely related to the atonement. It's a very sacred thing, because that's what our Savior does in the atonement, is he feels what we feel. He knows what we know. He comes to understand us. And education's an important part of that. And communication is an important part of that, because we have to be able to communicate. And sometimes words fail us. So we have other ways of communicating besides words. We have music, we have art, we have poetry, which is words, but it's words used differently than we use in, say, a manual for a stereo or a CD player. We have plays, and we have movies, and all these things are attempts to communicate, and they communicate in a very different way. And so therefore when we listen to music strenuously or read poetry strenuously, we get the opportunity of actually feeling what somebody else has felt. And this is an incredible thing. This is magic. Like Albus Dumbledore says. He says, "Oh, music, magic far beyond anything we do at Hogwarts." And it is. It's a magic, because you think about Beethoven, this kind of sweaty, smelly German living 250 years ago, and he had feelings in his heart, and he was able to reduce those feelings in his heart down to little notes on a page. Then 250 years later, we take those notes on a page and give them to a string quartet or to an orchestra, and they play them, and here there are members of the audience feeling those same feelings that Beethoven felt. That's magic. It's a level of communication is what it is that goes beyond words. And if we really want to get inside someone else's head, this is a great way of doing it. We want to feel what a 15th century German or a 17th century Italian or a 9th century Chinese or somebody else like that really felt. We look at their art and we listen to their music, and we can begin to really feel that. And the fun thing about empathy, the beautiful thing about empathy, is that it goes both ways. Not only do we understand somebody else, but we also have the feeling that somebody else understands us. Sometimes we get really lonely in our own heads. It's like we're kind of trapped in here, and we feel like nobody else understands us. That's something that we feel a lot when we're teenagers, but it goes on all through our life. We feel like somehow what's happening to me has never happened to anybody else before, and nobody understands me. But you can listen to some music and you can hear that somebody else does understand you. Somebody else has had these feelings. It's a wonderfully comforting thing. That's why when a boy breaks up with a girl, the girl doesn't reason away the emotions. What she does, she goes to a movie or listens to his music. And then she has a good cry, and then she feels better. That's very irrational, isn't it? And yet what a powerful form of communication that is. The reason she feels better is because she knows that she's not alone, that she feels what other people have felt. And so that's a very important skill, the ability to listen to this. And it does take practice. You have to learn to speak the language. And that's why we have courses in it. And we hope biology majors and engineers and psychiatrists and artists and everybody will learn to speak these languages at least a little bit, so that they can have access to this truth and that ability to learn.